So, Ella, some of the green stuff might not be good news for ordinary people, but Prince Charles is very thrilled about the path to net zero. He was talking about how he powers his Aston Martin with essentially whiskey. Was it whiskey and cheese?
Wine.
Sorry.
Pinot Grigio and Camembert is the joke that Paddy Hannon made in his column this week on Spike.
It's like something out of Private Eye.
Yeah. I mean, if you can, like our future heir to the throne, afford to retrofit or change your car to run on the byproducts of the estate that he lives in, then fair enough. But as Tom has pointed out many times in columns on Spiked in relation to Extinction Rebellion, like we know that there is a crossover between the aristocracy, royalty, and indeed lots of these sort of retired rich people who end up either on the M25 protesting about insulating houses or out in some kind of street theatre in Trafalgar Square. There is a real elitism to the green movement because if you have never had to worry about your gas bill, or if you have never had to worry about what you put in your car, not what your staff put in your car, but what you put in your car, and how you get to work and all those things, then you're kind of living on a different psychological plane. You can't empathize with people who have to make decisions. And there's this really infantile idea that people are kind of whacking the heating up to 30 and think, open all the windows, nobody cares about, using fuel or burning gas or, we're
Two fingers to Mother Earth.
Yeah, we're just, these people are just wasteful. And what we need is a little bit of belt tightening to teach them the error of their ways and the consequences of their actions. That's absolutely not the case. And the fact that you have Prince Charles praising Greta Thunberg for her, deeds in favour of the environment shows the shallowness of so much of this and the fact that how out of touch it is. I mean, as Tom points out, there has been a real shift, and I think actually interestingly, it's been a recent shift because not so long ago, such a high rise in gas prices would have been a real problem for the government. It's a direct reflection on how people's quality of life is changing. It makes people very angry, and it would have been a real damning indictment on a government that was, not so recently, just after an election. But they really don't care that much anymore, and it shows how the narrative has changed because before you would, or at least you would have said, quality of people's lives is paramount. So it was cold the other night and I went to put on the heating and my partner was like, don't do that because it's really expensive, put on a jumper. And you kind of think, but this is what they want. This is what they want. They want me to put on 3 jumpers, rather than turn the heating on in my flat, which is the most normal thing. And that deprioritizing of people's basic quality of life. We're not talking about luxury jets here. We're not talking, even if we are, that would be fine. It's the most basic thing of heating your home.
Is your house warm?
Is now becoming controversial. And that shows you that this green kind of eco-dogma has just gone too far.
Well, just on that point about the kind of alliance between the crusties and the aristocrats, if you like. Because I think there is something really in that because at its core, environmentalism, it has this discomfort with modern society, also with modern industrial society. Occasionally they say it very explicitly. Greta the other week, bless her, was talking about how, Britain, if anything, has a bigger responsibility for the climate crisis, so-called, because of the Industrial Revolution. And so you see even a calling into question the Industrial Revolution, which is basically the greatest thing that ever happened to humankind. You want to talk about living standards, you want to talk about prosperity, you want to talk about how long people live, the emergence of, democratic society in the way that we understand it now. Like all of this roots back to that in one way, shape or form. They don't like that because it's mucky, it's unpleasant, it's away from nature, it's away from the normal order of things. And obviously if you're an aristocrat, normal order of things is, or at least the old order of things, we could say, probably sounds quite tempting.
Yeah.
So that is really what we're dealing with at the root of all of this. Like if you could find a solution that you could press a button tomorrow and we could continue with the lives that we currently lead, if anything, be more prosperous and freer and all the rest of it, and it would have no impact on the climate whatsoever, they would still feel uncomfortable about it. That is really where a lot of this comes from.
We know that's the case because they reject nuclear power.
Exactly.